Hey there, I wanted to put together just a quick educational video on one common pattern that I tend to find with people that work desk jobs and are dealing with back pain. So there's a there's a couple different things that can go on with this, but a really common pattern is maybe this sounds familiar to you. You have back pain that seems to maybe run up and down your spine. It's usually worse towards the end of the day, maybe like achy first in the morning, but then tends to get worse as the day goes on. It almost feels like it's like sore, stiff, or fatigued. You always find like you feel like you have to like stretch it. That's a really common like muscular overuse or fatigue issue. Not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong, but maybe that you're putting yourself in these positions during the day that seem to be stressing those muscles more than what they can tolerate, and it's leading to this like discomfort that you're feeling. And so there's a couple pieces of info we're going to talk about now that are really easy to miss, and they're really subtle details. And I can speak from a bit of experience because this is something I've dealt with in the past. My wife is also a healthcare provider. She has to do a lot of notes and typing. She's dealt with a very similar thing, and it's there's some nuance to some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. So it's going to seem really simple, but the small details matter. So we'll talk about that now. So when you're sitting at your desk, one common thing for people that fit this pattern that I described earlier is one, this might not be you, but a lot of people do fall into this, is when they sit, they tend to sit at like the edge of their chair. So I remember I used to have this problem because I would go see a patient and I'd come back and I'd be at my computer and I'd type for a little bit and I'd get up and I'd go see a patient. It was just easier to sit at the edge of my chair because I wasn't sitting for very long. But when you do it throughout the day, all day long, things can get really fatigued and tired and achy. So if you find yourself when you're working at your desk, you're always sitting towards the edge of your chair, you got to get back towards your backrest. And some of you might be sitting at the edge of your chair because maybe your chair is not in the best position and you have to do that so your feet rest on the floor. So if you resting against your backrest means that your feet are floating or your desk setup isn't right, then you need to change something else because this resting against your backrest is really important. So you might have to scoot your chair in closer to your desk. You might have to change the height. You might have to put like a footstool or a box or a book or something underneath your feet so your feet can be supported. You might have to like move your armrests so that way you can get closer into your desk. Because using your backrest, if you fit that pattern that I described to you earlier, is really, really important. And aside from just using your backrest, there's a couple of small things to pay attention to with that. I usually will put like a towel roll, like rolled up, or a hoodie or a jacket or something behind your back. So that way you can focus on relaxing over top of the towel roll. And it's not that you need like extra support or anything. If you want to think of it that way, sure. But the towel roll is actually to just focus on you relaxing your back muscles. So you're almost like reclined into the chair. That's the point of the towel. So some of you might find it really helpful to have like low down on your back and you're relaxing over it. For me, I actually put it up near my mid back and that seems to help me. And I recline back over it, and man, that makes a world of difference for me. So that leads into the other thing, one of the more nuanced things that people fall into. It's like a trap people will fall into is they'll say, okay, Jordan, I am sitting against my backrest and I'm still having the problem, still having some back pain. So if you look, when I'm against my backrest, I have my butt all the way back against the chair and I'm against my backrest, I'm still rounded forward. So I'm actually still using my like upper like thoracic spine, paraspinals or erectors, whatever name you prefer, the muscles that run up my spine to hold me up. Because if you look, I'm still slightly slouched forward at my mid back. So if you're getting like, again, pain that runs up all the way up through your mid back, you need to make sure, again, this is where the towel roll comes in handy, that you're actually reclined into your backrest. You're relaxed. Because if you're just sitting a little bit like this the whole time, if you can see that gap that's between my mid back and the chair, those muscles are still having to work to hold me up all day. So making sure that you're reclined. Those of you that have a headrest behind your chair, even just using your headrest, like focusing on just resting your head against your headrest, that will take away from this like slouched upper back that can lead to some discomfort. So either place a rolled up towel a little bit higher up and really focus on like relaxing all the way over top of it. So you're like reclined a little bit. If you have a headrest, just focus on letting your head rest against your headrest, but be really aware that you're not sitting with that like slight round in your upper back, because that can lead to, again, this like muscular overuse. One other thing I didn't notice is, or I didn't mention, excuse me, is some of you, your back rests on your chair are actually really low. That's also another problem. So for example, this is a pretty high backrest, but if the backrest is really low and it's only supporting your low back, you are very prone to fall into this little like slouch from your upper mid back as opposed to like from your low back. That can again lead to this fatigue. So to hammer home the point, get a chair with a higher backrest. If you have a headrest, even better. Focus on letting yourself totally relax and recline against it, or put like a rolled up towel around your mid to upper back and let yourself relax over top of that. So give that a go. Again, that's just a common pattern that people fall into, and try and prioritize throughout the day. If you notice that you catch yourself keep scooting towards the edge of your chair, or that you're kind of doing that slouched upper back, don't worry, just correct it, fix it. It's not that you need to spend all day here. You just need to spend less time doing this, right? So the more that you work at it, the better you'll get at it. So if you have any questions about that, let me know, and I will chat with you soon.